Good evening, Britannia, and hello to the rest of the world. Welcome to 2CTV and tonight's live update from France, the Republic of France. As over the last few hours, we've been getting reports from across the country with the far left, spoiled, middle-class, militant nutters who decided to riot around, looting shops, attacking businesses on high streets, and of course show no respect for their own country and the authorities. This is in reaction to what happened last night in France and across the Europe in general, with the European elections showing that time is up for the liberal establishment, for the globalist elite. Now we have a situation where, as the media calls it, the rise of far right, apparently, even though it's mostly essentially conservative movements and populist nationalist movements who are rising up in a democratic way. This is a democratic revolution that's happening in France and other places as well. But the left-wingers are not too happy, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to give you guys all the updates, the media, and also some of the social media accounts linked to the corporate media are having a bit of a meltdown, but we do have some videos from tonight as they are coming in as well, fresh from France. The first things first, obviously, the French far-left militant extremists took out their frustrations today after yesterday's massive victory for Marine Le Pen and, of course, Emmanuel Macron betraying the left by dissolving the parliament and calling a snap election. Let's go to Bordeaux first. Let's see. It's the left-wingers, obviously, combined with the Islamists. Oh yes, the Palestinian flags have replaced the French flags. At least back in the day, when the lefties in France were protesting, they still brought out the French flag. Now we have the communist flags again, alongside, of course, the Palestinian flags. Let's go to Bordeaux in the first video. Now, to add context into the videos that you're going to be seeing in this show, a number of restaurants and pubs or bars were targeted today because, according to the Palestinian side and the Antifa, the far left as well, because there's a branch of Antifa in France. Essentially, they are the anarchist Marxists, which is kind of hilarious because being an anarchist and being a Marxist are very different things. They should be different things, but apparently they're not. If you want anarchy, it's anarchy. No state, no authorities. But then they say, now we want Marxism and communism, which is big state and big authority and police state. So these anarchists are not really anarchists anyway. They've been targeting these shops, these businesses, these restaurants because they voted for Marine Le Pen. That's why they're angry. Of course, they're also targeting the authorities and the police. Let's go to the next video. It shows the police obviously trying to contain the situation and failing. Yes, the interesting thing about what's happening tonight across France is it's been going on for a few hours now. Now, the media, the corporate media, are very much silent about this. Where are they? Where are the international media outlets, including CNN, BBC World Service, and all the others? Where is Reuters? What's happening here? Because they're not really interested in this narrative. Now, imagine if it were the other way around. Let me just paint a picture. Last night, let's pretend that Marine Le Pen's party didn't win, right? Let's pretend that didn't happen. And then tonight, in Bordeaux or wherever, some place in France, 12 people who are supporters of Marine Le Pen did a protest or rioted, right? Picture that. Today, all the headlines will be about the rise of far right in a violent way and how they didn't accept the results of the election that Marine Le Pen had lost. They would say that. Tonight, you have thousands and thousands of Islamists and far-left extremists with Palestinian flags and communist flags across France. The media are not talking about it. And when they talk about it, they just say, oh, well, the anti-Marine Le Pen activists are out protesting. When it's the far-left, when it's the Islamists, it's simply anti-Marine Le Pen protesters who have decided to come out. Let's go to the next clip. This is the far-left extremists throwing rocks at windows in an apartment. Now, this is interesting because obviously one main reason is, as I said, they're going after restaurants and bars because they discovered that the owners or the people who go there voted for Le Pen because they listened to conversations, but they're also targeting individual people's properties, personal properties and their residential areas. All because someone had dared to place the French flag in front of their home. They are now, as I said, even until a few years ago, we had the lefties in France, they still respected the French flag because they thought, liberté, this is the Republic, and we still have the French flag. Now, it's been completely replaced. So if you fly the French flag, just like how they would react in the UK or in America, because if you guys remember, even in America, the liberal left was still technically pro the American flag until a few decades ago. The normal ones, not the nutters. There were still the liberal lefties, the woke people, well, the former woke people, who still believed in the American flag. Same in France. Not anymore. You fly the French flag, you will be treated as the enemy. Let's go to this video where they targeted this apartment because somebody was flying the French flag. Of course, flying the Antifa flag instead of course, the French flag. Now, there are some people already in the live chat having a bit of an emotional breakdown because of words. If you think it's just the left-wingers who are sensitive about words, some people on the right are also sensitive about words. And this person says, please stop calling them far left, they are commies, call them that. That's not how it works. So, for those who don't understand the intellectual argument, there is a massive difference between general communists, Marxists, Leninists, and the element of the extreme side of Antifa who don't even believe in Leninism or Marxism. There is a massive difference, but the one thing they have all in common is they come from in terms of the political spectrum, they are the far left, and the word far includes the violence, the actual revolutionary side of it. Just like how the actual far right, obviously coming from Italy, for example, which also comes from Marxism as an ideology, it adds the element of violence and, of course, force. That's the whole point of it. That's why they are far left. They might not necessarily be communists. They're all the same. But in terms of intellectually, they would disagree. They would see Marx and general Marxism as soft, as just, oh, what do you mean we have to share things? No, we will force you to share things. This is again, these are the technicalities, but it does matter because they get away. If you just call them communists, they get away with it. Of course they get away with it. But they've been getting away with it for decades because we just call everybody a commie. It's a nice insult, but it doesn't really win the argument, does it? Anyway, next video. They've been blocking an entrance to a high school, in secondary school in Paris, as they claim they're protesting against the rise of far right. Ironically, there's a rise of a far left, literally on the streets, burning down the country, but they are saying they are protesting against the far right. Where is the far right? Firstly, the nationalist, populist, conservative movements who are winning, they are winning democratically, including last night in France. It's the democracy. They campaigned, they got the vote. It's not the far right. Now, I can show you far right. They existed, and there's like 3 or 4 of them. You know where they are because they write manifestos. They actually have manifestos. These people have a revolutionary mentality. The far left, same thing, but vicious. The problem is there are more people on the far left than the far right in democratic Western countries. That's the main difference. So they are blocking high streets, high school entrances because they are angry that apparently some people who are nationalists and conservative and populist in France decided to democratically vote for someone they don't like. That's why they're having a meltdown. Let's go to the high school in Paris. Meltdown. Now, there are a lot of people who are going around saying, well, it's just young people. Young people are left-wing, they grow up. No. There is a massive difference. So when you look at working class areas right now, from Spain and Paris and France to even Germany and Italy, let alone the United Kingdom, the new generation, Generation Alpha, and the younger Generation Z, they are actually quite right-wing. They actually understand the values because they are rebelling against the previous generation. Usually generations rebel against the previous generation anyway. When the millennials went completely crazy and the older generations, older, as in people who are in their mid-20s, now the new generation are rebelling. But people in smaller towns, younger people, go to south of Italy, for example, you can see not all young people are revolutionary lefties. Now, some could be liberal, could be progressive, but they're not left-wing socialist crazy nutters. This is a very specific problem with the middle class, cosmopolitan, basically lefties, young people who are lefties. This is the problem because they are bringing in the Palestinian flags alongside the communist flags and the Antifa flags and all the others. That is the difference. It's not all young people. It's a very specific element of young people. It's no longer the 19th century France. This is not how it works. This is not a real revolution. It's not a popular revolution. This is just an appetite for anarchy by actually providing authoritarianism as an alternative, which is ironic. Palestinian flags, of course, came out as usual. Let's go to this clip quickly, see what we're dealing with. It's a very short clip, it's only a few seconds. It's all about the current thing. It's all about what's trendy, and not in a fashionable way. They don't see it in a fashionable way. We have more videos for you guys, by the way. Stick with us. They see it in a trendy way because they don't think anymore. Now there was a time in the 20th century, early 20th century, even mid 20th century, even the left-wingers, intellectual left-wingers, students, at least they were to an extent intellectual. They were bookworms. They were reading books and all that, right? They were still wrong. They were delusional, but they were smart. At least they knew what they were defending. They could tell you why they liked Karl Marx or why they liked Adolf and all the other lefties, Mussolini. But now, because education across the Western world, we don't do critical thinking. We don't actually teach thoughts and actually get kids to learn. Even if you're teaching something toxic, they don't even teach them the details. So, for example, they're converting all these young kids to Islam, but they don't actually teach them the Quran. They just have the imams preaching, saying, yeah, this is nice, just convert. Same thing with Karl Marx and all the others. Antifa, for example. They convert people towards joining Antifa, but they're actually explaining why they should be in favor of Marxism or just Leninism or all the others, or Stalinists, nutters. They just follow the crowd. It becomes trendy. This is complete toxic. Because back then, at least, you could have an argument. You could have a debate with someone who was left-wing, intellectual left-wing. You'd be like, well, you believe in something crazy, but let's have a debate. Another residential area. I think it's the same, might be the same video, actually, because we're just getting all these videos fresh. So some of them might be repetitive. Also, obviously, if you join us now, you might not have seen this. Let's go to this one again. Yeah, that was from earlier. So, all this as a reaction to Marine Le Pen's party, National Rally, democratically winning an election. It's not like the far right took over, using a coup d'etat or something. No, democratically they got voted. And that's how the left reacts. As I said, if the right were reacting like this to an election, they would say they're not accepting the result of the election. Well, these guys are not accepting the result. And they say they're protesting against the rise of far right by burning down shops and restaurants and bars and people's homes and random cars on the streets. I know the French love to burn cars on a Tuesday, but this is on a whole new level. Palestinian flags replacing the French flag. In France, that's a big problem. Because we talk about the UK, we talk about Canada, the US, all these places, Palestinian flags are coming up and they're replacing our current flags, the normal flags. But we're kind of used to it in a bad way. We're like, well, it's not really surprised somebody just burned the Union flag again or the American flag. But in France, even Emmanuel Macron's government, under pressure, they have to be, and they had to be, protective of the French flag. That's why I said even the lefties, until years ago, they were still at least flying the French flag, even when they were protesting against right-wing governments. Everyone, apparently, according to the media, everyone hates the National Rally. If they hated them, how did they get all the votes? Interesting, right? Let's go to the next video, see what this reaction was to everybody hating Marine Le Pen. Did you notice something? Red hair, green hair, face nappies. Big crowd, but still loud minority. They're organized, to an extent, organized for street movements. So you can see big crowd. A few thousand. But they are still a loud minority. Same thing with the Palestinian mob. When they bring out, a few thousand people on the streets. Oh, everybody in the UK apparently supports Hamas. Really? You're still not even brave enough not to cover your face. And then go around covering their hairs in the middle of London and Paris, as I've been saying. How can you free Palestine if you can't even free your hair? Now you're going around covering your faces with face nappies. Do you believe in public health? Are you scared of the China virus? I don't think so. I think you have something to hide. I think you're going to go cause trouble and you don't want the police to recognize you. That's why you're doing this. This is not democratic. Tommy also posted the last video just now saying that following the right-wing politics, obviously sweeping the board across France last night, the far left are out rioting, attacking one pub because they voted far right apparently. Yet you still only hear that the imaginary far right are the problem according to the media and politicians. Let's go to the video that Tommy has posted on X. I mean, it's so ridiculous. The whole thing is ludicrous. They get away with it because the grown-ups, and by grown-ups I'm talking about the liberal media, the liberal establishment, are allowing this to happen. Basically, because of bad parenthood, we've created generations of, I'm going to say, I know it's a family show, shits. But now the state and establishment have replaced parents. For the past few decades. We know that. Big government, globalist governments, all that. We're all dependent. So even young adults, their parents are the state. And by the state, I'm talking about the whole of the establishment. That includes the media, includes the academics, and of course, the politicians. And when the new parents, as in the establishment, are basically also spoiling them, just like how their original parents did, by not telling them off, by not disciplining them, this is what we have. You got rid of the actual parents. Parents don't parent anymore, especially in middle-class metropolitan areas. And the so-called grown-ups in a room, the liberal centrist politicians, the globalists, who should be against Antifa, right? They're not parenting them in the right way either. This is the whole point. Kids, young people are no longer growing up. They're just growing older. They're like an idiot walking around. He's a man-child. They're not adults. Let's go to some super chats. Thank you, Nick, for the first one, saying, "Hey, Maya, you're too much of a hero." Love that. Thank you, Nick, as well. And 888MF says, "What's your prediction for the UK election? Do Reform overtake the Tories, and will this be good for the UK?" So the latest poll just came out. I'm just going to put one of the numbers on the screen because you're going to love this. Reform UK is now basically the second party, at least when it comes to the popular votes. It still matters. But the shocking thing about what we're about to show you is Reform UK are being treated like the National Rally and Marine Le Pen, right? Obviously, they're not even similar. But young people, we're told, are not right-wing. Look at this. Obviously, Labour, 50%. This is 18 to 24-year-olds. And then you've got the underneath, well, ignore the 44, 54, because that's for the graph below it. It's not in the screenshot. Reform UK on 10%, but higher 10%, so they're close to 11%. That's what they're second. The Liberal Democrats are on 10%. The Green parties are 9%. Obviously, the grey one is Independence, and then you've got the Tory party, the blue one, 8%. Young people, as we are told, in this country, they generally vote for Liberal Democrats and the Greens. Reform UK are winning the votes from the young people. They're doing better, relatively, than the Greens and the Liberal Democrats. Now, to answer this question, we are having a situation where the Tories had a chance not to fully recover, but to react to the return of Nigel Farage in a better way, at least run a better campaign. They are doing a favour to both Reform and the Labour. They are basically shooting themselves in the foot. It's like they want to die. So the Tories will be at least temporarily dead, and not in a when they lost in 1997 to Tony Blair, dead. That was just there, you just went into coma, you wake up. They will be dead. Now, you could have a situation like in Canada, back in the 1990s, in 93, where you're going to have a realignment of the centre-right and start fresh. Or in this country, we had it, in the UK, a couple of centuries ago, we had with Robert Peel. Because you had the Tories, at the time it was called the Tory party, they were split. Some of them went with the ideas of William Gladstone, good William, who was obviously a liberal, good liberal. So they decided to basically go towards Robert Peel, who was like William Gladstone. Robert Peel created the Conservative Party because the Tories went down. They went split, and the Conservative Party got some of the Whigs, which was the older Liberal Party, the good classical Liberals. And then you basically had the lefties creating the Liberal Party, and then you got the others, I don't know where they went, the old Tories. They disappeared a little bit, but they did come back with Benjamin Disraeli for a little bit. But we could have the same situation, realignment of the centre-right. That's what I can see. To the Tower says, France is at its core socialist. Well, yes, true. The noisy parts of the French population hate the right and kick off easily. They exploit this at every opportunity. Nice tie. But yeah, I mean, the French are by default, by nature, revolutionary. And that was the difference between revolutionary French and the revolutionary Americans, even though you could say it was the same time, not really the same time, it was about a century apart, but it was pre-20th century, pre the modern days, pre the world order. The difference in the Americans and the French is the mentality, is the Anglo mentality that the Americans have, and the French obviously, they went with secularism within society. Even back in the 19th century, they went towards republic for the wrong reasons. Americans went towards republic for the right reasons. They didn't even want to have a republic. They just told the king, can you just stop being a dick to us? That's the difference between two groups that are revolutionary and republic, but for different reasons. The French are just angry. Not all of them, obviously. The bad ones. Userex says, I make clothes for a living. Can I make you a tie? Where should I send it to, Maya? Thank you. Isn't really your color, so yeah. And this wasn't my choice. I was at a dinner, and I literally picked any tie that I could find right now. I just ran out of the house. I don't really like this color anyway. It's all right. I prefer blue, dark blue, navy. Marcel says nothing more annoying than an adult crying over words. Life is tough. Grow a backbone instead of purple hair. That's a good advice, ladies and gentlemen. Super chat from Laurie as well. It's not far right. It's right so far. God damn it. Absolutely right. Laurie. Aaron says this is what happens if you spoil and not beat the child. Yeah, to be fair, we didn't have this with the Victorian kids, did we? During the Victorian era, we didn't have this spoiled kids, although that went a little bit too far. That created the people who followed Karl Marx like idiots, and of course all the other left-wing leaders like Mussolini and Adolf and all the other weirdos. At least we learned from that for a while, and now this has happened again. Patrick says this is the best time for anti-France protest videos to be circulating on the net right before the election. They will only make people vote Le Pen. Absolutely, by the way, it's so true. Firstly, I don't think Le Pen's side is going to be unstoppable. It's going to be stoppable. It's just going to happen now, because I think some of the liberal side in France are completely furious with Macron calling a snap election. It's insane. They're angry at him as much as they're angry with Le Pen and her supporters. So they will be punishing Macron, the political left, and the actual left-wing candidates. It's going to be tricky, but Le Pen is going to get... I mean, I don't really do predictions, but it's for hers to lose. Super chat for Barbara. Obviously, I mean, if she could take over Parliament, that's the whole key point, obviously, for the presidential election. Barbara says, spur the spoil the child, bring back discipline in homes and schools. Nigel has been threatened with violence by civil servants. Yeah, I know. The civil servants want to arrest Nigel Farage as well, which is kind of funny. It's worrying, but it's also funny considering how weak and feeble they are. But this should be also an opportunity for all those good people, including people who are going to be behind reform or anybody else, or if there are any good Tories left, to remember this and use it as a justified reason to, when we eventually have a right-wing government, to completely bring down the whole thing. Wipe out the whole of the establishment, drain the swamp, start from scratch, bring in better people, vetting process for recruitment, no more diversity recruitment nonsense. Everybody should be identified, every single civil servant who's basically going to, and they're doing treason. It's like those who've been blocking the migration plans, the border control plans. They've been talking. We've got all the leaked messages and emails that we posted on 2CTV months ago, years ago, to rebel against the Home Secretaries like Priti Patel, Sola Brabman. Every single person should be identified, kicked out. That's democracy. If you vote for a right-wing government and the right-wing government promises a reform of the civil service, you will do it. The media is going to call it some sort of far-right coup d'etat, but it's not. If people vote for a manifesto and you do it, that's just how it is. But the brother says, Chairman Mao used students in Cultural Revolution. Yes, yeah, a lot of people lost their lives. Youths are easy to manipulate. They have no worldview or experience, and you use emotions to obviously trigger them, and that's a lot of the groups learn from Mao as much as they learn from Marxist ideas. Chairman Mao, even more than Stalin and all the others, actually did effective dictatorship in a very evil way, but very effective evil. Those tactics are still being used. Pure Blood says, grab a beer for your birthday, mate. Oh, actually, is it 15 minutes to go, guys? 16 minutes to go to my birthday. While France burns, let's celebrate my Thesis' birthday in 16 minutes. Bring back the Knight Templars. Well, that's going to help, isn't it? Fight them back. Nick says, I like 2C, a site for Le Pen to write with. I like to see a site. So many puns with my name. Mosh Cohen says, we will fight. We are not afraid. We are on the good side. Says the idiot wearing a mask and Arab swastika. Oh, God, what a funny world. Actually, the kafir is basically the Arab swastika. That's basically what it is. It is. Darren says, could we use big screens to show all this to the people, the new election method? Well, you would say this. Actually, the whole point of the movement that we have led by Tommy, where we have these rallies in Parliament Square with big screens, is kind of to a point to do this, because the media will have to cover it because the crowd are there and the media want to cover it so they could call us far right. But by covering it, they will have to show things, which is kind of funny. It backfires. Sort of like 2015 Trump. They hated Trump, so they tried to bring him down. They kept covering his rallies, and it just made him famous. It was brilliant. Anyway, 2000, happy birthday, sir. Thank you very much. I'm still young for the next 15 minutes, by the way, and then I'm going to get old immediately. Ariel says, I'm 18, and I'm disappointed with my generation. Sorry about that, but it's your job, you guys, to fight back, I guess, wherever you are, whether you're in France or Israel or Germany or the Netherlands or Canada. Robbie says, it's a super sticker. Thank you so much, Robbie. Let's go to some of the normal chats while we are here. Seb says, happy birthday, champion. There's a lot of happy birthdays. Joyce, we got Rob. Thank you very much. Michael says, well, France burns. Let's celebrate. Such a British thing to say. That's so true. Also, as I said last week, a few days ago, with the D-Day anniversary, I did say we had the British troops in Normandy. It was a perfect opportunity for us to take over. At least take back control of Brittany. I think it's time. It's been a while. War with France, why not? It's been over 100 years. We used to do it all the time. But war with France. What a great idea. Do it before the EU army gets completed, by the way. Glenn, not that they're going to do anything, that paper army. Glenn says they're totally spot on. They can't. They're beating at the polls. It goes against their woke agenda. Communists don't like democracy. Well, it goes against communism, obviously. They cannot accept the verdict of an election. Any healthy democracy would immediately arrest these thugs and strip them of all political rights. But that would have been the case back in the day, I know. But not now. Imagine, for example, if you had when you had the first American election after the Independence Day and the Revolution. I know you had basically the majority, even 49% of the country coming out to protest saying, we don't accept the result. And there were some states who were kicking off, by the way. But even that democratic, free America, early days, they would have gone robust on their asses. They would have gone crazy. They would have arrested every single person because there's treason. You can't go against democracy while you have the democratic country. If you want to change the system, then change the system with the consent of the people. Don't do a coup. Don't do occupation like what happened in 1979 in Iran with the Islamic occupiers. That's not nice. It's a little bit rude, let's just say. Very rude. Be considerate. We got some French watching. Hopefully you're not offended by my idea of starting a war with France. And just for Brittany, it's ours. Give it back. It's a joke. To be fair, the whole point of what we do on 2CTV and, of course, all the other movements happening at the same time, political movements as well, with Le Pen, with Trump, is for the first time we actually have an opportunity, because we do live in a globalized world, to have nationalists and patriots from all around the world to support each other. We don't have to become globalists. We don't have to intervene in each other's countries, but show solidarity, show support. Because until now, nationalists, conservatives, patriots have been isolated. We were told, you should only talk about Britain. You in France, you should only talk about France. You in Canada, only talk about Canada. In Israel, anywhere. But now, the game has changed. We are talking about each other. Show solidarity, show support, because if it's a globalized world, we have to play in a globalized platform without being globalists. International solidarity. If anybody believes in life and freedom, support them. And that's why we are doing this. That's why Wilders in the Netherlands had the support internationally from Argentina to Israel. That's how we do things. Now, of course, Javier Milei is a great example as well. Trump is another example as well. And by doing this, by the way, we normalize these figures as well, because they have to now realize, they have to work with each other. So, for example, Marine Le Pen modernized herself, and reformed her side last few years, because we all pull each other. You got Trump, you got Javier Milei, different ideas, different policies, but they all believe in patriotism. Put Argentina first, put America first, put France first, and essentially they will help each other, and their movements, not directly necessarily, they don't have to have a meeting, but their movements will influence each other, will normalize what they used to call far right to actually saying this is just common sense. As long as you don't go around riots and do violence or try to take over in a coup way, because that would be far right. Don't do a Mussolini thing. Then you support each other, and you could actually normalize each other. Same thing's happening in the country with Tommy Robinson. Tommy Robinson was a taboo 10 years ago, 5 years ago. It's basically been normalized. It's happening. Nigel Farage, now we think is normal. Well, it's been normalized because it's been a few years. But let's not forget, 15 years ago, or even 10 years ago, Nigel Farage was treated like bin Laden. It was insane. So we can influence each other by supporting each other, and we will help each other regardless of where we are based. Super chat from Anne-Marie saying as 1st of June showed the English will defend England. Yes. And of course all the others as well. We had the Welsh, we had the Scottish, and everybody was there. The family of the union. Aaron says, go into shops, retune TV and PC to play InfoWars. No, 2C TV. Alex says, after the general election, true conservatives should leave the Con-Socialist Party, join Reform UK, and create a proper right-wing opposition to Labour. That could potentially be inevitable. Because CCHQ, the Tory HQ, are running out of money. The party donors have left the Tory party. The Tory party until now has been standing because of money. The money is gone. They've suspended their social media campaign for the past few days. They don't have money. And I'm not even exaggerating. They actually don't have any money. At this point, I think the Lib Dems have more money than the Tories. Nick says, more money, so you can get 72 virgin beers for the birthday. That's actually a funny comment. That's good. Thank you, Nick. Super chats. Tavalad Mubarak, John. That's happy birthday. Let's celebrate burning of France. Who sent Khomeini? Let's not. Actually, the French might deserve it. Well, the French establishment. If you guys remember, back in the 70s, in 1979, when the Shah of Iran was basically pushed out by the Western globalists, because CIA decided to train the Ayatollahs, the Islamic occupiers, because they were scared that the communists are going to take over Iran from the Soviet Union side. They thought the Islamists could be their puppets, basically. It backfired massively. Paris was the home of Ayatollah Khomeini, the supreme leader, who became supreme leader. Because the Shah of Iran, who people say, oh, he was a tyrant. No, the man was so weak and nice, because they say, it's just an old man, let's just send him into exile. He literally thought, if we send Khomeini to Paris, he was told, just do that, he's not a threat, he's just an old man. It's like Karl Marx. No. He should have just either imprisoned him forever, because he was doing treason, or back in the day, it was acceptable to do a bit of hanging. It's treason. I mean, we're not saying it's normal for 21st century to hang people for treason, but it was normal back then. But he didn't do it. He kept the enemy, sent him to exile in Paris, and so France and CIA, and a bit of elements of MI6, helped the idiots to take over from Iran. Are we going to learn from history? Apparently not. Anyway, let's go back to Ant Jackson saying, happy birthday, sir. Love the tie. Vive la France. True that. Make France great again. We have 7 minutes for my birthday, by the way. It's okay. Ali says, happy birthday, Mazel Tov. Thank you. And Jane Miller as well. For Bun Bun, buy him some more carrots. Do you want a cat? Where's it gone? He keeps running away. Like, okay. He's in one of his moods. Bunnies these days. They're no discipline. No respect for authority. It's not like the bunnies back in the Victorian times. They had discipline. Oh, he's angry now. What are you doing? You want to come up? Hang on. Do you want to come up? Okay. Come here. Wah. It's my birthday. Come on. Sing happy birthday. That's Bun Bun, in case you don't know. Hello, Bun Bun. Where are you going? Where are you going? Okay. Don't kill Gladstone. Come here. That's That was our expert guest contributor, Mr. Bamban. Right, let's go back to you guys. A few years ago, the left here in America banned... Oh, God. Oh, yeah, actually, let's not forget... there's some of the crazy stuff that's been going on in America over the last few years, especially not just in terms of BLM, but Antifa and all the others as well. One of the main issues that we currently have been facing is cancel culture. Like, for example, cancelling cartoon characters, right? But there have been good cancellations and there have been bad cancellations. And let's just say, in history, sometimes you have to wipe things out, not to erase it from history, learn from history. You can cancel things, but, be like, well, because this is just weird. Like, for example, drag queens at schools. But sometimes they cancel things for stupid ideas. So let's just say some cartoon characters need to be cancelled. Some cartoon characters shouldn't be cancelled, should be cancelled. Anyway, Jamie says, Bamban is a real patriot. He's got my vote. He is, actually. Is it my birthday? No, it's 5 minutes to go. It's fine. Sherry says, Bamban is beautiful. He is nice. He's a good friend. He helps me with my videos every day. When I'm talking to you guys, he usually sits right next to me underneath. So, do you know how old Maya will be tomorrow? Okay, it's all kicking off over here. The French are knocking on the door. Give me a second. Yes, it's the FBI at the door. The SWAT team is here, kicking off. They're shutting down the 2CTV studio, ladies and gentlemen, as we speak, for telling the truth. No, it's not. It's fine. Everything's fine. Jane says, is it possible that in calling the snap election, Macron is throwing a hot potato to his political opponents? Does he know something difficult is coming? To be fair, I thought about it since yesterday, because the decision was a little bit rash for a professional politician, for a liberal globalist politician. It made no sense. To an extent. You might think it made sense. You're like, well, he's freaked out. And, they thought that he could basically show an emergency situation, rise the far right, rally the troops, the liberals, to vote for him, for his party, for parliament. But, maybe something else. Maybe, or maybe he was told this is the only way to actually fight back. Let's go to next comment. Liz says, France should get control of the Olympics. Love Bamban. The Olympics are approaching. Yes, love Bamban. I love that. Let's go to Edward as well. Viva la Tusi, Giza. 3 minutes to go to my birthday. Don't worry. Thank you. And Pagan Viking. I think Bamban's coming back. He was just on TV.
Oh, was he?
Yes. That's Bamban and Lacey Butcher, the producer of the channel. Happy 21st 21 years around the sun, Maya. Have a drink and you have an awesome day. You are our media. Thank you very much. And there was another comment I just missed. There we go. Okay, what's happening there? Is it me? But if you stick an H on Keir Starmer, he will look like Arnold Rimmer from Red Dwarf. Happy birthday, Maya Tusi.
You've seen Red Dwarf?
Yes. Okay, so what else do we have? Bamban's gone. Raven says Macron wants to elope in America with Rishi. Imagine. There's been some videos, old videos of Macron that have been released again on social media. These younger years when he was dancing in nightclubs with earrings and very camp clothing. You know what that was about, I guess. Allegedly. Apparently, it's important to say allegedly, especially because of French laws. Basic now, thank you for your beer emoji super chat. And also Barbara saying Macron is scared of trouble in the Olympics. So yeah, well, I think he's still going to go. It's still beyond that, but I know what you mean. Never mind the French burning cars and breaking windows, a story of their lives as usual. Any chance we'll find you in another gay bar tomorrow? The rumors are starting now. Rumors. Matt says, happy birthday, Maya. Thank you so much, Matt. And I believe that's all the super chats. Yep, perfect. So this was France burning tonight and us celebrating my birthday with Bamban. And there's one more super chat I don't want to leave you guys behind. Andy says, from one Englishman to another Englishman, happy birthday, Maya. Thank you so much, Andy, and thank you to every single person who's been supporting the channel. We are now close to 524,000 subscribers. Oh yeah, it is actual birthday now. It's officially midnight. I'm officially old. This is the end of the world as we know it. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Maya Tusi, and we are the media.